there are things that can only be removed out of your life when it is met by the presence of Jesus. Yeah. There's issues that you need to solely bring to Jesus.
Yeah, 100%.
There are problems that you solely just need to bring to Jesus. There's family members that you solely just need to bring to Jesus.
Yeah.
You've been dealing with this for so long on your own, looking for every other solution. But Jesus. What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the Dear Man of God podcast, where we help you find belonging in Jesus. That's identity and purpose found solely in Him. Here's what you need to do. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And also tune in to a fire episode.
Circle of Family, welcome back for episode 2 of the Dear Man of God podcast. You're here with your hosts,
What's up, y'all?
Joe Jackson Jr. and Amahd Simon. Yo, where y'all tuning in from? Drop it in the chat. Tell us where y'all tuning in from. How y'all feeling?
Yeah, you watching from your mama house, your cousin house.
Come on.
Baby mama house.
Come on, oh Lord.
Just come on. Just let us know where you at.
For real, we wanna get to know you guys more. So tap in, tap in. Tell us what city you tuning in from, where you at. What's been your take on our episodes so far?
Yeah.
What you liking? What do you want to see? Come on, tell us what you want to see. We want to get connected with you guys.
And no matter where you at, you could always tune into the Bible study on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
That's digital. So
fellas,
from anywhere.
Fellas, listen, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. EST. Jump on our Bible studies. You'll see the link in the bio below. But listen, you talking about community? You want fellowship? Come on, you need somebody to pray for you? This is the time to be. This is the place to be.
Let's do it.
This is the place to be. But I feel like, man, we got a word. I just feel like I want to jump straight in.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So we kind of been jumping into this Dear Man of God, concept, this podcast. It's a rebrand for everybody that's kind of tuning back in, wondering like, what is this new thing that just popped up on my feed? Yeah. Like, what is this new bubble, this red dot? I never subscribed to this. Yeah. You did. We just changed the name. The whole premise behind this is like, bro, like, okay, we want to speak to men because we're saying that, okay, there's an issue in our world. Men are not leading, men are not stepping up. And how we see that begin to play out is in our families, man. Discipleship. The kids don't know Jesus. The kids are struggling with identity because the men aren't around to tell them. The men aren't active spiritually. And it's the ramifications are a ripple wave. Everybody sees it. So like, for us, man, this whole podcast has been centered around how can we be used by God to shine light to a demographic, man, who has looked to so many other things other than God, and honestly took pride in doing that. And I think today, man, for every man that's struggling, I feel like, man, we talking about, how do I not settle when I feel stuck? I feel like when you think about your life, think about the amount of times you've had to navigate seasons that have been hard, that have been tough, that have been trying. Like all the moments that you've been tempted to settle. Like that may even be where you might even be feeling that right now. Yeah. And I think this whole episode is centered around, okay, what do I do when I feel stuck, when I feel like I'm hitting a wall, and when it feels like I just want to give up, give in? How do I not settle? How do I not quit or give in when I feel stuck?
Yeah. I think this is so imperative, man. It's an important conversation because I just think that a lot of people they're good starters, but not good finishers.
Oh, I gotta preach every day.
And I think that, man, if we're gonna be men of God and we're gonna be men with purpose, and we're gonna be men that make an impact in this world and the lives of other people and make an impact in the kingdom of God, like we gotta understand, one, what we're believing God for, but then also two, we got to understand that it's actually important for us to finish it out. And so we just can't settle for second best. We can't settle for less than. We can't settle for anything less than what God has promised or what God has says is best for us. And so, man, I just pray that this is an encouragement for myself too, because I feel like there's areas in my life where I want to settle and I just want to call it quits, because honestly, it'd be a lot easier for me to settle than to keep going forward and pressing towards what God has got me to.
Yeah, man, it's so easy to just say, okay, I'm going to try to make this work. Yeah. Or I'm going to just settle for this, or this is convenient. I see that. It kind of looks like the shoe could fit. Yeah. Let's try. Yeah. And like, how many times have we gotten ourselves in trouble? How many times have we, taken less than what we would have had or would have received if we just would have stuck with it? Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a season where for so many, there's no surprise. Like how many families do we look at and we see men dip? I felt stuck. I felt like I was going through something, whatever it may be. Whether it's job, home, wife, relationship, like all of these situations that if we're not careful, we can find ourselves retreating from. And that is the reality. God has not called us to a lifestyle of retreating. He said the gates of hell shall not prevail. So therefore, we're not supposed to back up. We're supposed to run forward. And I think this episode is supposed to encourage you in areas where you've been fighting for a long time. Like I'm talking about, you've been fighting for seasons and seasons. God made you a promise. Come on, when God makes Abraham this promise, it takes some time before it comes to pass.
Oh, bro, it takes centuries.
Pasture to the palace, baby. Like you see Israel come out of Egypt, and there is an in between. There's a time of transition where, man, I am walking through a desert, a wilderness, and I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. Yeah. But it seems like following God comes with this. Okay, so if I'm going to go through this, how do I get something out of this and not fall short, not settle? And I think that is what this episode is geared to. It's geared to helping you make faith-filled decisions when it feels like I'm hitting a wall.
That's cool. That's cool right there.
That's it.
That's cool.
That's it.
That's cool.
That's it.
All right, where we at?
Let's get it. Mark chapter 9. And let's hit it from verse 17, man. So context, everybody at home that's watching, this is Jesus. Jesus has just finished up transfiguration with his disciples. So like up until this point, Jesus has been ministering throughout the area. He's in his 30s now, early 30s. And his disciples, he's definitely, alluded to who he is, and he's told them, this is who I am, this is what I've come to do. But, how many times you understand the first thing, what your mom said the first time she tell you, Most times the first time, your parents say something, it kind of flies over your head, or you really don't pay that much attention to it. So for them, transfiguration is this moment where it's not just that he said it, but I see it. Like, Jesus, you up here glowing in the dark. Like, I know you say you was God, but boy, you are glowing.
Do I need to be here? Like, I shouldn't see this. This is not, yeah.
Peter's like, should I build tents? I'm like, fam, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so they coming down the mountain from this transfiguration, and there's a crowd there, and one of the fellas in the crowd, he has a child that's demon possessed, and he's been struggling with it for a while. So this is kind of where we pick up at. So let's hit it. And I'll read if you want me to read.
Let's do it.
All right, so verse 17, Mark chapter 9. A man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not." "You unbelieving generation," Jesus replied, "how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So they brought him to him. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered, "and it's often thrown him into the fire or into the water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." "If you can," Jesus said, "everything is possible for the one who believes." Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief." Let's talk about it.
Bet. Yeah, man. I think one of the kind of important things that we get to see here is, yeah, man, this man, like, obviously, like, he's battled, or he's been in this battle for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, asked him, was like, how long has the boy been like this? Since he was a child. Well, man, that means this dude has been looking for a solution, looking for a resolve for quite some time. Yeah. And I guess now he gets to the point where he's just like, I need Jesus. Yeah. I've been hearing about Jesus, this guy who's been doing miracles and casting out demons. Like, I've been waiting so long. Like, this is what I need. And so I just find that it's interesting that he's been dealing with this for so long, but he finally hears about something that can actually bring solution to the problem that he's been having. Yeah. And I think, that kind of sits with me, just because, a lot of times, like, man, I feel like there's things that I hear about people dealing with for years. But until they meet Jesus, until they have an encounter with Jesus, it does not go away. And I just feel like that's an important reminder for a lot of people, man. There are things that can only be removed out of your life when it is met by the presence of Jesus. And I know the context that we're talking about here is stuck, but man, I just want to remind some people, like, man, like, there's issues that you need to solely bring to Jesus. There are problems that you solely just need to bring to Jesus. There's family members that you solely just need to bring to Jesus. You've been dealing with this for so long on your own, looking for every other solution but Jesus. And so I just feel like that's just beautiful as he's rounding this corner.
Yeah, man, that's big, because I think you got to ask yourself at some point, if I'm not going to God, where am I going and who am I going to? Because and I don't know that we get where maybe he is going to. I think I was talking to you earlier, but I think the story parallels so perfectly with the woman with the issue of blood, because like it's a moment where you see two people who have been struggling with something, a condition, for an extended period of time, and each of them to some degree have gone to different places to try to get help or try to get relief. And I think, man, that's half the battle right there, is like, the amount of time maybe that you have been trying to work through this or to push through this. And I think what's specifically like about this guy's story is like, it's not like I have been ignoring it. Like I've been trying to confront my problems. I've been trying to confront my issues, and I've been trying to do something about it. But man, even in my best efforts, it seems like I'm still falling short. Like, how many people at home, come on, you feel like despite your best efforts to address and confront your issues, it feels like I am getting nowhere. Like the more that I try to confront them, it seems like the deeper the hole that I fall into. And I feel like that is this man's life. It's like, man, and I feel like, day after day, I'm having to rehash how it just seems like I'm more overwhelmed after more overwhelmed. But I do think, man, like you said, there is something about this man saying, hey, I heard about a man, and I done tried a lot of stuff. And that's just to tell you that this is not a season. Self-help is what self-help ain't gonna help you in this season.
For sure.
Like, you can go get Tony Robbins, you can go get whoever. Ain't none of that stuff going. There are some things only the presence of Jesus can deliver us from, man. And I think that has to be a turning point for us. Is when we realize, when we take inventory, what have I been going to? Who have I been going to? Because when you look at this guy's situation, so he says, verse 17, so a man in the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought you my son, who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech," right? So I'm dealing with a gap, a void. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not. So that is to say, like, there have been seasons where, I have been considering what it is I'm going to. And I think that, for me in this season, man, I've really had to pay close attention because, I know I should go to God. And I know that God probably gives me the best chance, the only chance at getting free and seeing breakthrough and seeing, some level of relief and reprieve from what I'm going through. But man, I'm not gonna sit up and lie to you and tell you that there aren't moments where I'm not tempted to go to something that seems good enough or close enough. And I think that's the reality for these disciples is, I know I need God, but this is something that's close enough to him because I don't see him here right now. And I just, I got to wonder how many people at home, man, like, I know that I should be looking for Jesus. I know that I should be waiting for Jesus. But hey, I found something that's close to it. I found something that resembles it. I found something that kind of makes me feel like that's it, or like it scratches that itch. Maybe this will do. Maybe I should just kind of take ground here, take root here.
Yeah, man, that's so good. Like, I do think that it's important for us to take inventory of what is it that, like, I have been running to, like the conversations that that I'm that I'm having with certain people about, whether it is, just kind of battling lust and overcoming, sexual temptation. And one of the things that I try to kind of help them kind of get to a resolve to is like, why? Like we understand that we need to choose Jesus. Yeah. But in the moments where I don't choose Jesus, like where's the disconnect there? Like what happened? And so sometimes as we're having these conversations, one of the things that I ask is just like, hey, like is there anything in your life that you feel like, you feel unsettled in, or you feel pressure, and this isn't, through porn and masturbation, is this a way to relieve that pressure? Is it a thing to just help you feel better and trigger the the endorphins in your brain? Like what kind of leads you to this point? Because I think for the most part, if you're a believer, if you've been doing this for some time, like you understand that I know I need to choose Jesus, and I know I need to come to Jesus with my problems. But there's something that's a little bit that's just a little bit quicker here that I could just immediately get some gratification, because I think that's the problem here. Like I think the specific wording that this man says, he says, somebody from the crowd says, "Teacher, I brought my son to you." Yeah. And then he goes on to say, hey, this is what happens whenever the demon possesses him. So I asked your disciples. Yeah. Wait a minute. You heard about Jesus. Yeah. You heard about Jesus. Teacher, I brought my son to you. Where was Jesus at though? Jesus was on the mountain. Yeah. And he's having this conversation with God, Moses and Elijah, and so Jesus is not there at the moment. Yeah. So what does this man do? He settles. He goes and he's like, so I got your disciples because you weren't here.
Yo, what's up, Circular family? Look, we'll get back to the video in just 1 second. But listen, hey, if this content has been a blessing to you, there's a few ways that you can get more involved. The number one way is that you can cop our merch. Look, there's a link in the bio below. I promise you're going to love it. There's some great items there. Also, if you're looking to tap into community, you need some people. We have a Bible study that we do every Wednesday. Below in the bio, you'll see the group me where you can join and get all the links to all of our live Bible studies. Also, if you want to be a blessing and you want to give, your generosity goes a long way in everything that we do. So look, there's a few ways that you can do that. Through Cash App, Venmo, through PayPal. Again, everything that you give helps us be able to represent the message of belonging to everyone who needs to see it in Jesus Christ. Let's get back to the video.
And yeah, maybe like the disciples were able, like Jesus had empowered them, and he had, he had given them authority. But I do think that, symbolically, this kind of speaks to like some of those conversations that we've had in the past, just about waiting on the Lord, like allowing God to intervene and work in your situation. I feel like this guy, because Jesus wasn't presently there, he settled for the next best thing. Yeah, man. And I think a lot of times, like, that's what happens when we're so desperate. We want a resolution. We want the problem to be fixed. I want my son to be healed. Ooh. I want that relationship. I want that job, but I'm not patient enough to wait for God, so I settle for the next best thing. Yep. And I just feel like, man, this is like, because he settled, because he did not get the result that he hoped for, but because he settled and he didn't wait for Jesus, therefore it equaled him not getting the result that he hoped for. Yeah.
I think that's the reality, man. Like, I mean, so many of us, man, like we settle for what's convenient over what we've been called to, or what God has promised us. Like, I mean, how many times you find yourself ready to DM this girl or DM this chick because, like, it's easy, it's convenient. I know I'm supposed to be in a season of singleness. I know I'm supposed to be waiting, but, like, can't quite tell what's working out of me or what he's trying to do in me. Seems like maybe I could do a little bit better. He's taking a bit of time. Maybe I need to help him out. So how many times have you found yourself taking a wheel because of disappointment, creeping into the picture, because I feel stuck? Yeah. Like it's so easy to do that. And I think, I think it's super important to try to bring words to what that is. Why am I doing that? Why am I trying to take things into my own hands? Why am I trying to find the next best thing or a close counterfeit? Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of times because we're dealing with a desire, a greed for gratification. But I think in this man's circumstance, man, someone who has been dealing with pain and disappointment for so long, bro, I am doing this because my faith is fractured. Mm. Like and you got to know this is for, like what we preaching today, this is for the people who, man, you get it done. Like I'm a grinder, I'm a hustler. Like, this is for the people like, man, I really don't even know how to quit. Like I struggle with, the Lord uses me to get it done. Like, cause this is a man who he's doing, how can I put it? This is a man who is moving, but at the same time, I don't even believe what I'm moving in the direction for. Like my faith is fractured. Like I am still in motion. I don't know how to quit, but I don't even really believe anymore in the direction that I'm going in. So I know that I'm not supposed to just stop and just leave this business and just walk out of this marriage and you turn my back on my kids because of what they said. I know I'm not supposed to do those things, but because of how much disappointment that I've endured in this process, like I don't even really think I believe that this can change anymore. There's a part of me that is still going forward because faith is all I've ever known, but there's also a part of me that is straying and wavering and looking for a temporary solution because I'm tired of dealing with the pain. My faith is fractured. And that is the reality of this man. It's just, and here's the thing, a lot of times we don't even realize that that's what we're dealing with. Like, I think a part of the reason why when we go to counseling or when we actually, make a decision to get help, because that's another, it's going to take a little years. You need help. It's okay to get help. Like, man of God, it ain't nothing wrong. There's nothing corny. There's nothing weak about getting a counselor, a therapist, about getting to, I need therapy and theology. And I think one of the more mind-blowing moments is when you get in therapy and you start seeing, this is actually why I'm struggling. Didn't know that. I was just running in circles. I was just reacting. That was just me moving from my triggers. And like the reality is that, man, sometimes we don't realize how much we're just reacting instead of taking a moment, taking inventory, thinking and responding. So for this man, I don't even know if he realizes that the reason why I'm moving like this or the reason, the reason why I find myself tempted to the temporary solution or the quick fix or putting all my faith in a person or putting all my faith in a boo or a bae or whatever, is because there's a part of me that has stopped believing. I'm still praying. I'm still going to church. I still sing the songs, but there's a part of me that don't even believe nothing I'm saying. But I've never taken a second to acknowledge, this is actually my issue, is that my heart is divided. I'm dealing with like a divide, man. And I think that the divide for this man, again, of course, is to solutionize, to make it happen. All right, now I know I need God, but this is my child. Right, and it's been a while, and I just need to make disciples. I am looking for God, but I don't see him. Like he been here in a while, so this will do. And I think again, it is just taking note of the fact that, man, is there a place in your life where you stop believing, like where because of the pain, because of the journey. Like you've been believing for restoration in your marriage and it's been hell and y'all arguing every day and it's just like, okay, I understand there are things that we got to work out, but is there a part of you that because of the hike, you've lost faith that God can even do this for me?
I feel that. Yeah, man, I definitely see that with this guy here, like, cause he's asking Jesus. He's just like he's talking to Jesus. He says in verse 22, he's like, and he's talking about his son. He often cast into the fire and water and destroy him. Then he says to Jesus, but if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us.
Yeah.
Verse 23, Jesus responds, says, if I can. What do you mean if I can?
Yeah.
He says, all things are possible for the one who believes. And I think that just kind of shows us like, man, this was a fractured faith.
Yeah.
Maybe he had faith in Jesus, but his faith wasn't all that cracked up to be. And like, and maybe that's for some of us today. Like, yeah, like you have been believing God for certain things. And I do think that, you know, some of it is, man, like you have to understand your like you have to get better theology.
Yeah.
Like some of us, you know, expect to have like a name it and claim it.
Bro.
God, you said it, I believe it, you spoke this to me, that shall it be. And nobody taught you about the theology of waiting and long suffering.
Ooh.
And abiding.
My Lord.
And so because you've had this specific theology,
yeah.
which wasn't, you had faith,
yeah.
but it was fractured, and you've had this specific theology that wasn't all the way right.
Ooh.
Now you have to act like now you're coming to Jesus with broken expectations.
Ooh, boy, you just took it out of my mouth.
Yeah, you're coming to him with broken expectations. And Jesus is like, if I can, of course I can. You just don't really know who I am. You thought this was going to work one type of way, but here's what the real deal is. And so, like, yeah, we just see him even start questioning Jesus. If I can, Jesus, no, I definitely can. Yeah. And then, you know, I think this is a verse that we hear all throughout church culture. You know, if you've been around church long enough, he says, I believe, but help my unbelief. I feel like, yeah, man, like it takes you acknowledging, yes, I have faith, but at the same time, there's parts of my faith that I still have not fully tapped into yet. Yeah. Yes, I have faith, but there's still parts of my faith that I just don't understand. Or yes, I have faith, but there's still attributes about the character of God that I'm just not aware of yet. And I think for us, what that means is, once again, I think we've thrown the word around, but like we got to take inventory. Yeah. Like, who do I know God to be? Like who I can't just take off, or I can't just take off with who my mama said God was, or who my pastor said God is. I have to know who God is for myself. And so, yes, I believe, but I only believe based off of the conversations that somebody else had with me. This man is now having a one-on-one encounter with Jesus for himself. So he's believed, but now it's up to Jesus and this opportunity and him being in the presence of God to say, help my unbelief. And so this not only represents him, you know, hitting a wall, but I think this also represents him coming to a deeper revelation of who Jesus is. Jesus is like, I'm not and I think it's funny how he addresses teacher, like how he addresses Jesus as teacher at the beginning, like teacher, rabbi, like that's what a lot of the you know, if you were a Jewish leader with your own disciples, like you were essentially the rabbi, you were the teacher. And I think Jesus is trying to flip that understanding. It's like, yo, like, I'm not just a rabbi. I'm not just teacher. I'm Lord. I'm the Almighty. You have a fractured faith, and I'm trying to paint a whole picture of who I actually am to you. And so we've seen that in some ways with this whole era of deconstruction, and people have deconstructed their faith because they've built what they believe and what they know about God off of, you know, a church culture. Maybe it was healthy, maybe it was not, but they've built their faith in God based off of something that was not the word of God, or not rooted in the word of God. And so we've seen, you know, this whole, you know, conversation of deconstruction happening. But, you know, I think in a way, like, this man had some deconstruction. Hey, Jesus, I was looking for you. You weren't here. I settle for the next best thing. My son is still not healed. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on here. He's just like, well, yeah, because your faith is broken. Like you need to get the whole picture of me to be able to walk in healing.
Yeah. And I think you're kind of tapping at trust. Jesus desires, more than anything, God desires for relationship. That is what this whole thing has been about, your ability to abide, to trust me, to know that I am your Father, and that I have you, that I will come through for you. That is what God desires the most, is for his child to be with him. And I think that a lot of the times, the things that he's calling for, the idols that he's asking for us to snatch down and destroy, are what is impeding that. And sure. I think this is a challenging one when it is my trauma that is impeding my trust. And that is the reality for this man. I've dealt with the level of trauma that is making it challenging to fully trust and wait on you. And I think that it's worth noting two things, how the amount of times that Jesus says this. So verse 19, he says, you unbelieving generation, right? How long shall I stay with you? And I don't know if it goes over this guy's head the first time he tells him his issue. Again, a lot of times, the first time we hear something, it rarely sticks, right? So he's like, I'm going to say it again a different way. Verse 23, if you can, everything is possible for the one who believes, right? And it makes you ask yourself the question, okay, well, what moved the hand of God? Was it the depth of his despair? Or verse 25, when Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you to come out of him and never enter again. So what moved the hand of God? Was it the depths of my despair? Or was it the crowd of people that were, coming and flooding around? And the answer is the thing that moved Jesus was your faith, your transparency. Verse 24, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief.
That's good. Yeah.
Like the thing that moved the hand of God was you being able to acknowledge what the real issue was that, God, I have been struggling to actually trust you. Help me to trust you more.
Yeah.
That is what faith is, a currency in this. Like that is, my faith is what is opening the door and creating the platform for God to be God. Yeah. Like it is our trust in Jesus. And I think we got to get this, man, because if there's no faith, then how does God get glory? Because if there's no faith, then who is the glory going?
Without faith, it's impossible to please God.
So the Bible says, not many miracles could be done here because there was no faith. Right. So it is just to say, man, again, could it be that one of the things in this season that is making it challenging or blocking the way from me really seeing God move in my situation is that I have lost sight of him? Because if you were being honest, if he gave it to you right now, would the glory really go to him or will it go to you? If he gave it to you right now, would the glory really go to him or would it go to the counselor that you try to put all of your faith in? Praise God for your counselor. But the miracles that we experience, they come through soul trust in the power and the person of Jesus Christ, the God of Jesus Christ. And I just think that, I think that, we're talking about practically how do we do this? How do I believe, but help my unbelief. God, I believe, man, but I do have trauma. I do believe, but I do have trust issues. I do believe, but I do have temptations. I do believe, but I do have a fleshly appetite. How do I deal with that? I think what you mentioned, man, it is about taking inventory. You need to sit down. You need to cancel some stuff. You're too busy. That's why you end up in so much stuff now, because you say yes to everything. You need to tell some stuff no and sit down for the weekend. Get out a journal. Come on, this therapy 101. Get a journal and a pencil and think, where has my faith really been? Have I taken the wheel again? Is that why my husband is so mad at me? Is that why our communication struggles? Is that why my wife is struggling with me? Have I taken the wheel at my job? Is that why my team Is the way, what is it? Like, am I trying to control it? Am I trying to, have I given that power to somebody else? Have I made and this is, I feel like there's such fine lines. Have I made my spiritual leader God? Like, praise God for your spiritual father and your spiritual, have you made them Jesus? Have you put them in the place of the Lord? I think that, it takes time, again, inventory. What have I been going to? Where's my source at? Where's my trust?
Can you imagine what would have happened if the disciples had healed his son? That'd have been crazy.
Oh, yeah.
If the disciples would have healed his son.
Boy, you preaching that, boy.
Like, he would have never had this. So this man brings his demon-possessed son to be healed by Jesus. He brings him to his disciples. His disciples can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So he's frustrated. Jesus comes back and he's like, yo, Jesus, I gave my boy to your disciples, but they couldn't do anything about basically. But like, if the disciples would have healed his son, he would have never had a greater revelation of who Jesus was.
Yeah.
A lot of times in our situations, man, unless maybe God has prohibited certain things from happening, maybe God has prohibited certain breakthroughs from occurring because he's waiting for you to get a deeper revelation of who he is.
Yeah.
Not even just waiting. He wants to give you a deeper revelation of who he is. And sometimes that comes on the backside of your waiting. He would have never been able to encounter Jesus in such a way had the disciples been able to, like, because Jesus goes from teacher to help I believe, but help my unbelief. Boom, got you. Now I can move. Because you're now in a position and now you're postured to actually see who I am, to actually to put your faith wholly and solely in me. Like, you're ready to have a whole faith, a full faith. Now I can move. Now I can go ahead and give this healing. Now I can give you the blessing. Now I can give you the job, because your heart is finally in a place where I can actually minister to you apart from what you want me to bless you with.
Ooh.
Now I can finally give you the spouse, or now I can finally give you that open door, because your heart is now in a place to fully receive who I am. And a lot of times, like, God gives us the opportunity to wait, because that waiting can often produce us having a greater revelation of who Jesus is.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it's so contradictory, because like, if we feel like man, like, God, like, I prayed for this, and if you bless me with it, I'm gonna give you the glory. And God was like, well, I don't want you to just know me as a provider. I want you to know me as your counselor.
Ooh.
I don't want you to just know me as a provider. I want you to know me as Lord. Like, I don't want you to just know me as teacher. I want you to know me as healer. Like, and so God is trying to constantly give us a new revelation of who he is. There's so much to the character and the attributes of God that we just don't have the understanding to. But sometimes our trials, sometimes our suffering really allows us to have a better understanding of all the facts of who God is when we're going through them.
You're right, man. Come on. So what is it that you've been running to? What have you been trying to make your source, right? Mm-hmm. And then also, why? What have you confronted why you do that? Have you really given thought to why? For this guy, here's why. And I think it is notable, again, that how many times you see this pop up. I think when you start talking about why I do what I do, everybody's reason is different. But again, for this guy, this is trauma. Mm-hmm. And for him, this is what his trauma looks like. Let me see here. Verse. Well, I lost it. It's like the one when he's into the fire and into the water. What verse is that, bro? Here we go.
Where he threw his son.
Yeah, 22. It has often thrown him into the fire or the water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us, right? So what are you running to? Have you considered why? Or have you considered why maybe I from this place I'm driven to other sources or to other gods, right? And I think for him, man, it's just because I've been living on such extremes, you know. And this may be a season, you know. I feel like a part of growing in leadership is capacity being stretched. God is stretching my capacity to deal with more and to be more patient and to be able to endure more. And for this man, like, bro, this is seasons of his life, bro, where I feel like I have been up and I've been down. I've been here and I've been there. One moment it feels like I'm drowning. The next moment it feels like, you know, I'm suffocating. And I think it is something about considering, okay, what has actually been driving me? What have I been feeling? What have I had to walk through? What pain is it that has been trying to push me away from God instead of further and deeper in trust with him? So I think a part of your journal exercise, man, has really got to be you confronting the pain that you've been. I know a lot of times we react from it, and sometimes you can maybe even rehash it. And I think that's half the, you know, it's half the traumas. I'm reliving something over and over and over. But I do feel like there is power in processing, man. You know, this is what has actually been driving me.
Yeah.
This is why I do that. This is why I go here. This is why I run here, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure where we're at in the conversation, but you know, you let me know. But like, you know, in verse 28 and 29, yeah, you know, where we move away from, you know, this man trying to, you know, find healing for his son, and we start taking a look at the disciples now. And the disciples, they pulled Jesus aside and they were like, why couldn't we cast out the demon? Yeah. And Jesus' response to them, he says, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. Yeah. There's another translation, I believe it's the KJV, it says like, but this must be cast out, or this must be, cannot be driven out by anything but prayer and fasting. And so, yeah, I'm not sure where we're at in the conversation, but I'd love to hit on that. Love to hit on that some more. Yeah, I think I don't know that it's two different prescriptions, but I think we just got to confront it. I think for Jesus, he's kind of sharing with this man who's in this situation that, man, a lapse or break in it has been like your trust in me, your faith in me. That's why it's been a struggle, because you placed it in people, my disciples. You know, there have been parts of you that you done threw some of this on your own back all these years. And there are some things that only come through faith. There are certain miracles, certain levels of my power, my presence that only are accessed by faith and trust that I am who I say I am. And then for the disciples on the other side of it, as the ministers, he's saying that, you know, for y'all, and let me help y'all too. A reason why you guys struggle with this is, and I don't know, I think this is the part, you know, he said this kind of can only come about by prayer and fasting. And when I think about those things, I think about consecration. I think about a deeper level of consecration, a deeper level of intimacy, a deeper level of attachment to who Jesus is. And I think there is just something to say about, as a minister and a leader. And I don't know quite where they were at in their journey, their own spiritual journeys. I mean, we could probably dial back and put some pieces together about how far they were in it and, you know, how long since they've been called. But I would imagine, man, they still figuring some stuff out too. Like we just saw you go in the dark. Yeah. So like, I'm still trying to, you know. Yeah, I would imagine that, because there was only a couple of them that went on that mountain. Yeah. So I think these are the guys that were not on the mountain. Yeah. Yeah. So they're like, hey, like we were trying to figure this thing out by ourselves. You left us. Hey, I tried my best, God. I tried. You know, I'm just out here just trying, you know, with a hope and a wish, $1 and a dream, like open sesame. Jesus, help me. And I think even for them, man, maybe it is to say that just like it's dependence on one side, it's dependence on the other side. Absolutely. Like it's a different expression of it. Yeah. But it is the same. The heart of the same message is that, man, if you're going, this takes dependence on me. Are you willing? Like, for the man, he's saying, if you can,
He's essentially saying, are you willing?
Yeah.
To trust me. And I think that for the disciples, it's the same thing, man. Like, are you willing?
Yeah.
Are you?
I think it's interesting that Jesus just went from the pinnacle of what it looks like to spend time with God, to be on this mountaintop and see God face to face, and then come down. And now he tells them in verse 20 or in verse 29, he says, and this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. Prayer is that intimate time with God, that time that we have in conversation and sitting down with God, the Lord. And so I just think it's interesting that, like he just comes off of the most extreme, moment of intimacy and spending time with the Lord. And he's reminding them like, hey man, you got like you're not going to be able to do some stuff if you're not praying.
Yeah.
Like if you don't spend time with the Lord. And it just reminds me like, man, like, bro, if you have no prayer, you have no power. No prayer life, no power.
Yeah.
Like there's only going to be certain levels of ministry that you can unlock. There's only going to be certain doors that you're going to be able to walk through when you take your prayer life to a new level. Like there's things that's going to kick your butt, but you got to bring it to God in prayer.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be able to overcome it unless it's through prayer and spending time with God. Like I try to tell people all the time, like I don't think we have a sin problem. I think we have a closeness problem. Like we get to these places where we just feel so so comfortable and, oh man, I'm good. I could slack off in prayer. And I don't need to, and then all of a sudden, like boom, 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 like we're getting hit with temptation and sin left and right, and we're like, oh, I don't know what happened. Well, like you've lost that intimacy with God, you've lost that closeness with God, you lost that power to be able to overcome sin because we think we can do this on our own. And I'm not sure if that was the disciples' case where, oh, we can cast this demon out on our own strength.
Yeah.
But what Jesus is saying is like, man, this won't be driven out by anything but prayer, like intimately being with God, in the presence of God. And so like I tell people all the time, man, like we don't have a sin problem. We have a closeness problem. Like anytime that you want to overcome sin in your life, like I would ask, the first thing that I ask is, man, what does your prayer life look like? Like, are you connecting with God? Are you staying at the feet of God constantly every day? Like when I was listening to something earlier this week. I think it was like Jackie Hill Perry, and she was saying that we are people who don't want to pray because praying would require us to eliminate our pride. Prayer is being humble enough to say, God, I need your help. God, I can't do this on my own. God, I am insufficient within myself only. And so when I pray, I'm acknowledging that, God, I need to go to you for help. And you are my substance, and you are my daily bread. I can't make it through this life on my own. And so, man, as people are trying to overcome things and they aren't able to do it in their own strength, I'm always asking, bro, what does your prayer life look like? Because your prayer life is helping you connect with God so that you can get the power to overcome certain things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So these disciples, they are having trouble overcoming this demon, and Jesus says, yeah, because you need to pray. You need a better prayer life. And so the same thing for you. The reason why you haven't been able to overcome watching porn is because you haven't invested enough in your prayer life. The reason why you are still stuck in the cycle of consumerism and your covetousness, and you keep wanting thing after thing after thing, is because you haven't found sufficiency in God himself through your prayer life. Jesus is saying when you come to him in prayer, he gives you the power to overcome that which you could not have overcome in your flesh.
Yeah, bro. We sometimes we forsake the power of prayer. Sometimes we don't realize how powerful, the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. Sometimes we really don't realize the weapon that prayer is, and sometimes we're so young in it, we're so immature in our faith. And like, this is, why couldn't we, were there expectations that were shaping your faith? As a preacher, as a minister, of the God, like, are there expectations that you had of how, leading for Jesus should be, and, how it should go, and this is how I should, and Jesus was like, bro, you can't, this ain't, no, like, your expectations, this is different. And for this kind, like, this is what it requires. Bro, this requires prayer and fasting. Like, this is going to require something different than what you expected. Yeah. You expected one thing, but it actually required a different thing. And I think a lot of times, man, we have an expectation, and sometimes we don't know what to do. And that's, when we first come into the text, they're all arguing. Pharisees are arguing, people mad. Jesus is like, what is happening? And like, everybody's disappointed. Everybody's mad because their expectation isn't being met. I think even for leaders, man, there are places that we can be driven to when our expectations are not met by God, or are disappointed by God. And I think Jesus has a confident response, and even for them, just like he met the man's need, he gave him a miracle. And for them, even though this may seem small, come on. Sometimes you want something to fall out the sky. It's like, no, actually, if you did this, you get all of the revelation that you needed to keep running this race. Yeah. And even though it may seem small, it is worth noting how powerful what he said is. This is how you overcome this kind. This is how you break through the barriers of the expectations maybe that you've even placed on ministry and what it should look like, and what God can do through you and where he can take you, is prayer and fasting. Pray and fast.
Absolutely.
So, dear man of God, hey, don't settle because you feel stuck. Keep trusting the Lord. He will do what only he can do and you can't. In Jesus' name, amen. So tune in next week for another episode. We love you. Let us know in the chat again where you tuning in from. Join our Bible studies. Cop the merch. We'll see you back here next week. Hey, Circle of Family. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope it blessed you. I hope it spoke to you. Hey, listen, if you need community, do us a favor. Jump into one of our groups in the link below. Follow us on all social medias. Like, share, and subscribe. And tune in next week for another fire episode.